What's up? My name's Glueboy, welcome back to the channel, and today, a character I enjoy. In a video I've kind of teased a little bit in the comments of some other stuff. Today we're talking about Abaddon the Despoiler, a character often memed on, but I unironically adore. Mainly, Abaddon is the leader of my army of choice, one of my favorite armies in the game, the Black Legions. Play them a lot, they're super fun. But Abaddon has a little bit of a reputation. Now, this man, I think you could claim, is one of the main big bads of the setting. Mainly because his little things he likes to do called Black Crusades, with the 13th one being the Fall of Cadia. You know, the main bastion of defense for the Imperium to hold up the Eye of Terror from ripping into real space until Abaddon broke it, and then that happened, as you can see on the map of the galaxy. And he has this kind of negative reputation because it took him 13 times to get one good one. And so you build up this reputation of being a failure. As many of his meme names, like Failbaddon the Harmless, you know, Abaddon the Armless, based on his old mini, the arms weren't very well secured when he glued them. Stuff like that. However, I think he's great. Mainly because Abaddon, when you actually break him down as a character, especially in current 40k, is essentially a cartoon villain. He has some weird schemes that he pulls. Some work, some don't. But he's a cartoon villain that you have to take seriously. Just like the Emperor from Star Wars. You leave the Emperor alone, he's just going to start giggling in his throne room and attaching Death Star lasers to whatever he can. They're cartoon villains in their setting, but they're massive threats, which is why he's super fun. But in this video, I'm going to do something a little bit special, because I'm actually going to cover all 13 Black Crusades and let you know what they are. But first, I should give some context on Abaddon himself. So Abaddon the Despoiler was the first captain of the Luna Wolves and then later Sons of Horus, specifically the Command Company, First Company, which is historically a bunch of Terminators, which is why he's wearing this big-ass armor. He's a Terminator captain. And if you want more context, I'm not going to go super in-depth on him, especially during the Horus Heresy, because if you want that, go watch my Horus video, and then just picture the camera like panning a little bit to the right, and there's just a very angry man with a top knot, just kind of fuming right next to him. That gives you the story of Abaddon during the Horus Heresy. But when, you know, Horus got killed, he kind of left. And I don't mean just like left alongside his brothers during the Great Scouring into the Eye of Terror. He went off on his own, fully fucked off, leaving his legion to kind of wallow and squalor and pity at their, you know, Primarch dying. And then, you know, the Legion Wars happened. A giant civil war inside of the Warp, Chaos Marine fighting Chaos Marine, big deal. A couple of characters in the Black Legion like duology, a Thousand Sun, Word Bearer, and World Eater decided enough was enough, we gotta go find Abaddon. He knows what's up. He was like best buddies with Horus. He could help us. Where they eventually fight him. Where he was doing some big vision quest in the middle of the war. Like on the Vengeful Spirit, the actual flagship of Horus, he was just hanging out and realized Horus was a failure. Horus lost. And while he was immensely loyal to Horus, the man who he straight up followed to damnation because how much he cared about this Primarch, Horus fucking failed. So now he would take up the banner of War Master and destroy the Imperium. And first things first, he wiped out all semblance of old Horus stuff. Renamed the Legion the Black Legion, picked up his warband, and also made the policy of like, you know what everybody, like you can just join us if you want. If you want to be an actual fighting force instead of a bunch of lunatics running around killing or pillaging as much as they want, just join us. And those like members of the other legions, those three people became some of the early founding members of the Black Legion. Which then, this leads us to the Black Crusades, which are each time Abaddon decides to strike out at the Imperium on his quest to destroy Cadia and get to Terra and rip the Emperor off his golden throne, take the seat, and rule. And to do so, he actually has the power of all four of the Chaos Gods like granted to him. He's the current champion. And he also doesn't worship the Chaos Gods, which for very good reason, I will say, because if he starts worshiping the Chaos Gods and actually becomes a full follower, then he becomes a warp entity, which means he is also tied to the Eye of Terror. And that also means he can't, you know, live in real space and hang out. So his goals of, you know, taking over the Imperium that he feels betrayed him Can't work. But speaking of, that brings us to the times he does break out of the Eye of Terror to go mess some people up. That's the Black Crusades, where we get a lot of people, the common meme claim, I've claimed it a few times too, that he fucked up 12 times in a row and the 13th was a win. But I'm going to do something interesting. I am going to go through each of the Black Crusades, tell you what they are, and tell you, and keep score, if it's a win or a loss. So by the end of this video, I think we'll have a numerical decision on if Abaddon is actually successful and cool. So the first Black Crusade was also the first Battle of Cadia. And this took place like right after the Siege of Terra, like M31, right after the Siege of Terra, where he broke out and wanted to go fuck up Cadia. Because it's like, you know, right in front of the Eye of Terror. And he led his warband, and also a little extra shit happened because a rival Chaos Sorcerer decided, hey, Abaddon's fated to claim the sword Drakion. I would rather him not have that, because then the Chaos Gods will choose him as champion. So they all fought. But of course, to his dismay, Abaddon did get Drakion. After he had a duel with Sigismund. You know, Sigismund, the absolute coolest dude, sadly knocked down a few points because he founded the Black Templars, but Sigismund is no slouch in combat, and Abaddon got the win. He killed Sigismund, but he also took a mortal wound and was like about to die. He got better, but he was like real close, which then he was able to claim Drakion, and this became a giant power boost. Drakion is an incredibly strong weapon. It is a demon weapon that currently looks like a greatsword because that's what Abaddon kind of views it as. This other name for the sword is also the Echo of the First Murder, because this demon was born right after the first murder humanity ever committed. And now it's an incredibly powerful weapon that does a lot of shit for him, and if, you know, tabletop stats are to be believed, kills anything it touches. However, this Black Crusade, he killed a lot of people, but eventually got pushed back. This would actually be the only one of its kind, really, where it's more of like a wide shotgun blast rather than like a surgical precision that he would normally do. He spread himself too thin, got his ass beat, and went back to the Eye of Terror to plan again later. So this one is a loss for Abaddon. He didn't get what he wanted, which was to destroy Cadia. And then we got the second one, the Cursing of Corona in M32, which it's another assault on Cadia, but this time he went to a moon and he cursed it. He cursed Corona. And then a later plague would hit the Cadian sector later. This is a little kind of foreshadowing to current events in a weird way. Don't read too much into it. But Abaddon, again, got his ass beat because Cadia held strong, and he went back to the Eye of Terror. So this is another loss for Abaddon. We got the third one, the Devastation of Gerstal, right at the end of M32, like another one. He was real productive that millennia, I guess. But this one's pretty straightforward. Abaddon heard a prophecy that a guy who got sainted after the battles of Cadia, dude named Gerstal, was fated to rise again when the Eye of Darkness closed for its final time. When he heard that, he's like, well, I don't like that prophecy. Might as well stop it. So he went over to Gerstal's shrine world and destroyed his corpse and raised the planet. Because, you know, no corpse, no prophecy to rise. He then dipped after he did that, you know, job done. And this one's a win. His goal was to fuck up Gerstal. And yeah, he did that. Also, he unleashed a big corn demon to kill a bunch of space wolves, so it's another benefit, I guess. And then we got the Fourth Crusade, which is the devastation of Elpenor in M34, where he landed his forces on said planet to destroy its defenses. It was a keystone defensive position for Cadia and the Cadian sector, which then he went and fucked up. And he actually did. Elpenor is destroyed. It is a dead world now. So did his goal of destroying it. However, he made a little bit of a blunder. Because Abaddon, once they actually killed the main defensive force at Elpenor and they were fully routed, decided, you know what, boys, it's been a tough campaign. Go wild. Have fun. So he let all of his men go on a wild murder spree around the planet, killing a lot of people, but they stood in place for too long and the Imperial forces could regroup and attack the planet, which then allowed them to chase the remaining Black Legionnaires back to the Eye of Terror. So, This is another one where like he kind of did what he wanted, but he fucked up the momentum. He could have kept going. He had them routed. Nah, he just decided to have a good time. So I'm going to catalog this as another loss for Abaddon. Then we got the 5th Crusade, which is also known as the Tide of Blood. It lives up to its name. This one hit in M36, where Abaddon went on a fun little rampage to summon a demon, Doombreed, one of Khorne's greatest demon princes. And he just had to promise Doombreed an entire Space Marine chapter all to himself to murder. That, and he just had to offer him as well the humble little price of 10 million human souls, which he then paid, and Doombreed went on a fun little killing spree. And yeah, I think this one you can chalk up to an absolute win for Abaddon. I mean, he killed a lot of people, sick Doombreed on the Blood Angels, who had their entire chapter fighting these Chaos Forces and got horribly crippled in the process. The Blood Angels got their shit rocked. So yeah, he got what he wanted, a lot of murder. That's a win for Abaddon. And like even more to add on to it, he also, on the planet they were fighting on, destroyed a bunch of psychic seals that were like holding this planet and like the warp bit at bay, causing psychic mutations and warp fuckery to kind of just go haywire in the sector forever. Killed a lot of people and ruined the vibes perpetually in this sector. And then the 6th Black Crusade in the end of M36 is known as Drakarth's Folly, which is kind of a nothing burger, I'm gonna be real honest. Unless you're Drakarth, he was a rival like Sons of Horus, like warband leader, who Abaddon invited on a golly little like Black Crusade to kill a bunch of Admech, but he kind of got murdered by Abaddon. His Folly was trusting him, and then he got control of his warband, which is like a good chunk of dudes, but that's kind of it. So I guess a win. I don't know why this is cataloged as a Black Crusade. Then we got the 7th Black Crusade, or the Ghost Wars, which took place in M37. This one features my main man, Fabius Bile, everyone's favorite psychotic mad genius. But this one is also another repeat of the Blood Angels get their shit rocked. Because Fabius Bile was like, I just need a lot of Blood Angel like gene seed. I wish I could get some. Abaddon was then wanted to go get it so he could get some favors from Fabius. So yeah, he did so. He fucked up the Blood Angels and got a lot of their gene seed. And it's also known as the Ghost War because the real like tactic was, you know, to get the Blood Angel gene seed and to throw people off. He like sent all of his fleet out of the Eye of Terror right for Cadia, and right as they were getting close, they just vanished. Because his real target was somewhere else. So yeah, he fucked up the Blood Angels like he wanted to. This is another win for Abaddon. Then we got the 8th Black Crusade, which is known as the Skull Gatherer. And this is a Tzeentch-based plot, so I don't know why it's called the Skull Gatherer, since, you know, that's kind of Khorne's domain. But this happened at the end of M37, which this one was a kind of a weird one, because proper Tzeentchian, he split his forces a lot, and they went on a weird killing spree where they killed like a very specific number of people or laid out bodies in a weird ritual form, because in reality this was a giant Tzeentch like warp ritual to destroy some pylons made of living metal on the planet of Tikis. I don't know what these pylons do. It nowhere says it. I looked at my codex, I looked in the wikis, it doesn't really say. So he wanted to destroy some pylons, he did so. That's a W for Abaddon. And it's also made even better because the whole weirdness kind of left out the entire like Inquisition, like, what the fuck are they doing? And they only figured it out as the pylons are being destroyed, so they were like none the wiser. Then we got the 9th Crusade, which is the starving of Canophelis, I don't know. This took place in M38, where yeah, they wanted to starve Canophelis. It was a giant naval fortress, a lot of, you know, good materials coming out of it, good ships coming out. A good target to destroy. And there were a lot of people here too, like the Ultramarines, the White Scars, the Celestial Swords, which were all murdered. The entire chapter's dead now. And also the Lamenters, a fan favorite, who almost died but were saved at the last second by the Ultramarines and White Scars. But also they destroyed the fortress. They eventually got pushed back, but not like as major losses as they'd gotten before. So, easy win, they killed their target. Then we got the 10th Crusade, which is the Conflict of Helica, in M39, which was actually a joint venture between Abaddon and the Iron Warriors, who really wanted to fuck up the Iron Hands for some previous slight. So he joined him to help out. He actually sent a bunch of decoys to kind of distract the people at the Eye of Terror gate defenses. In reality, Abaddon and his boys went over to Medusa, homeworld of the Iron Hands. And the Iron Hands held on fucking strong and were actually able to push them back. They got a lot of casualties, like, damn, a lot of them died. But they got rid of the Black Legion Iron Warriors. Later, Abaddon was like, yes, I won this crusade because now I know that Iron Hands have good defenses and I can plan around it. This is a fucking cope, Abaddon. You've lost this shit. That's a lose. So the 11th Black Crusade is also known as the Doom of Valoria. It's really weird because I don't know what Abaddon was trying to do here, to be honest. This one, again, M39. He tried to get around the whole deal of the Eye of Terror is the only real exit point from the warp for the Chaos Marines by attaching a Tzeentch demon inside of his like ship navigations and just letting them go wild. It didn't go great. The demon got torn apart and died in agony, and they just kind of popped out in like thousands of light years away from their like destination, to where Abaddon was like, I don't fucking know, like, let's go kill that planet. He just pointed at Valoria, and he went down there, and it turns out a bunch of orcs were already fighting there. So he was just like, huh, all right, you know what? I'm very fascinated with how orcs harness like warp energy with their Wa stuff, whole power of belief. Let's just kidnap a bunch of orc weird boys and subject them to torture and experimentation in like the Eye of Terror. He fucked up the Imperial forces, he stole a lot of orcs, but like, nothing really happened. I mean, the Death Guard corrupted like a loyalist chapter known as like the Snake Bones, but like, honestly, this kind of just sounds like Abaddon messed up and had to later justify. I was like, yeah, that was a Black Crusade, 100%. I'm hesitant to say this, but I'm gonna call this a win, because it's kind of a win on accident. Like, nothing of crazy value was gained, but they didn't lose anybody, so I guess, I guess it's a win. Then we got the 12th Black Crusade, which is the Gothic War in M41. This is a very recent thing. Was a large part of like, you know, the game storyline for the actual tabletop. And I'm gonna skim this, because it's a lot. And this is a topic for another video. But primarily, Abaddon wanted to, one, conquer the Gothic sector and get these funny little things called Blackstone Fortresses, which are Eldar constructs that were built to fuck up the Catan if they ever returned, right at the end of the War in Heaven. So he wanted these because these things were really fucking powerful. If you had one, it's a pretty solid space station. You have two, you can destroy a planet. You have three, you can force a star to go supernova. Pretty big deal, because, you know, his plan was, I get three of them, I blow up Cadia's sun, I don't even gotta worry about the defenses, the planet's gone. Which is a smart plan. Didn't go as great. There were a lot of people here, a lot of Chaos guys, a lot of Imperium guys. Abaddon tried his best to steal all the Blackstone fortresses. He made it out with two. He had three, one got destroyed in the process of running away. And also, he lost the vast majority of his boys. So, he didn't conquer the sector. He lost a Blackstone fortress, but he still got two of them, which is pretty strong, which would later come in handy. But yeah, I'm gonna chalk this up for a loss. And then we got the final one, the 13th Black Crusade, the Fall of Cadia, the fucking big one. And I'm also gonna skim it, because this is a topic for another video, because it's massive. The Fall of Cadia is a big deal. Abaddon, finally, all of his plans culminating, broke into the Cadian sector and started destroying Cadia, doing his best. The Imperial forces held their own. Everyone was here. It was Smash Bros. It was Avengers Endgame. Saint Celestine popped up. Trazyn the Infinite was throwing out random characters from Pokeballs for some reason. Everyone. Right after this, Gilliman gets revived. It's a whole thing. But what really happens, that's important for Abaddon, is he was getting pushed back. He was losing. So he threw a bit of a temper tantrum and decided, well, if the Blackstone fortresses keep getting fucked up by like space wolves and Imperial fists actively inside sieging it, ramming maneuvers. Send the Blackstone fortress to the planet. So he rammed it into the planet and cracked Cadia, which did in fact do enough damage to destroy the planet and allow the Eye of Terror to split the galaxy in half. Yeah, this map, that's because of him. This one is a win. He got what he wanted. This is like the biggest win Chaos has had. So yeah, easy. What's up? Editing Glue Boy here. This would be the part where I tell you the results. But I messed up in my actual recording because I'm dumb and can't do basic math. There's a reason I have an art major, and there's a reason I'm on YouTube doing 40k content. I only play 40k. I don't need to count higher than 6. But anyways, the actual results we have are 8 wins and 5 losses, which I gotta say are better odds for Abaddon than I actually expected. He is a pretty legitimate problem. I guess the only refuting you could give this how I'm cataloging these is there are some that are a bit wiggly. You could maybe even claim that the 12th Black Crusade was a win because, oh yeah, he got the thing he needed to destroy Cadia, but I don't know. He failed most of his goals, got one. I don't count that as a win. That, and you can cut out, like, the one where he just kills a Chaos Sorcerer and steals a bunch of orcs, because those are really, like, what the fuck? What are those? I feel like they just had to get the number to 13, maybe, because those are so, like, pointless. But anyways, yeah. That's the results. Yeah, he's an actual threat. You let Abaddon, like, run rampant, he's gonna destroy shit. His plans sometimes are really good and pay out. A lot of times, too, those, like, losses, there's a few that are directly his fault, but it's also just, like, the sheer fucking dedication of the Imperial forces. These people care a lot about their people and a lot about the Imperium and don't want it to see it fall. And also, one final point I'll make before ending this. A lot of Abaddon's reputation when it comes to being useless is because that's what fucking happens when you're like one of the main villains. You lose all the time. Like, you're not out here calling like a Megatron or something. Like, how many times have he tried to do whatever he does in Transformers? I haven't seen it, but like, he just keeps losing, but yet people still call him cool. In a setting where you have a big bad who wants to destroy everything, letting him win means he destroys everything. So he can't win all the time. So, I don't know. I think it's unfair to call Abaddon like a giant loser or a failure because, like, he's kind of constrained by the fact that 40k is a story, a really big, expansive story with way too many books. But, I don't know. It's just like, it's narrative tropes. He's not real. That's just kind of how he being a villain. Chaos can't win anyways because, yeah, if they win, the Emperor's dead, everything is over, no more game, no more minis to buy. But yeah, that's Abaddon. Maybe I shifted your opinion on him a bit. Maybe you just enjoyed it because he is a fun character. He's fucking goofy. I love him. But yeah, that's gonna be it. If you like this, like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. Join my membership and see ya.